Today we're gonna make some vanilla bourbon homemade coffee creamer. Now grab yourself a large mixing bowl, a ladle, a spatula, and a whisk. Some bourbon maple syrup, vanilla, and sweetened condensed milk. Let's go. Go ahead and dump the whole gallon of milk into your bowl. And once it's completely dumped in there, you're going to pour in your sweetened condensed milk, and in between cans, I would give each one a little whisk. Otherwise, if you pour it in at once, it might be a little hard to mix all together. So that's why I do it one at a time and give it a little whisk in between pours. Next, you're gonna go ahead and dump your bourbon maple syrup in there. However much you got, just go for it. Make sure you give it a nice little whisk. I'm gonna put in some vanilla here. I totally measured with my heart, so I have no idea how much vanilla is in this. Now, I love my coffee creamer to be a bit sweet, so that's why there are 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk in this. If you do not want it to be as sweet, just use 1 can. But as with everything, adjust to taste. So here I'm using a 24-ounce jar, and what I'm doing is just scooping the milk into my jars and leaving about 1 inch room of headspace at the top, just to ensure that I get a proper seal and so that the creamer won't expand outside of the jar. So with this recipe, I was able to fill 6 24-ounce jars, and I did have a little bit left over, so I just put it in a smaller jar and put that in the fridge. Next, I'm gonna wipe my rims off with water, and then I'm gonna add my lids, then add my rings so that they are fingertip tight. Now I'm eyeballing this, but you want to fill your pressure canner with 3 quarts of water as a good rule of thumb. Next, I'm going to go ahead and place my jars into my canner and then put the lid on. And then I'm going to turn my heat on to a medium-high heat. And then I'm going to wait until I see that steady stream of steam coming through the vent at the top. I'm going to place my weight on top of the vent and wait for it to come up to pressure. And then once the weight starts to jiggle, I immediately turn my burner off and remove my canner from the heat source. Wait for the pressure gauge to drop to 0 and for the top to drop completely back down. And now that it's safe, I'm going to carefully remove my lid away from me so I don't get blasted with all of the hot steam from inside the canner. I did have to wear oven mitts because the handles were a little too hot. Grab yourself a pair of jar tongs, and now you're going to remove your jars from your canner, place on a towel over a hard cold surface, and leave overnight until they completely cool. And now you have your very own homemade and shelf-stable coffee creamer. Enjoy!